All right. If there's one thing you had to tell your future self, it's November 10th,
Okay.
2020.
November 10th, 2020.
What would you say to Sir Drake?
Keep doing it. Step it up, but keep doing it. You're on a good road. I'm proud of you, and I love you. Get your wife something nice.
I hope your future self listens to you. I'm sure your wife will appreciate it.
You know, she deserves it.
Yeah, it's been a crazy 4 years,
Man. But we on to a new 4. Okay.
and no, I feel like this last year has been 275 years total.
Nah.
It's been a very long 275 years in the year of 2020.
Nah. 2020 it's been a year. That's it. It's been a year.
It has. Time has passed, but it has been collected in this one.
Y'all better be grateful
space.
for 20. You better be grateful for 2020 before 2021 hit you with some new shit. See, that's the problem with a lot of people.
Right?
Because a lot of people didn't appreciate 2019, 2018, 2017.
Listen.
2020 showing you, hey, be grateful for what you got.
People rushing to 2021 and hoping that they're gonna. What are you rushing for? What are we getting through the rest of these 2 months for? What are we rushing to?
Man, when I'm telling you, 2019 wasn't great for me. 2020 has been better for me than 2019, to keep it a buck.
I can say probably this has been my greatest year of growth. It has been.
We met each other. We met each other in 2020. We met a lot of good people in 2020. So what we complaining about? Meeting each other? Let's take the good from that.
Listen, that's why you gotta amplify the good and stop looking at the negative. Yes, there's always gonna be a crazy person that is leading something, a crazy person that's always gonna be the head of something. But
you could have been in Flint in 2020, not 2020, but you could have been in Flint in 2017. You could have been. I'm telling you, you still alive. You know, thankfully, like myself, I'm working. Are you working? Like, we're getting checks, you know? Like,
listen, 2020 ain't missed a check.
Can you dig it? I'm like, you know, and my heart goes out to anyone that's not, but man, things gonna get better.
Listen,
things will get better. Just appreciate
it. You know what? The greatest thing that I've seen from this year is the camaraderie I have seen amongst business owners, especially the growth in. I mean, all of them didn't make it the first 3 months.
Yeah,
but most of them who are in their 6th, maybe 7th month of business, and actually like looking at growing it, whether they're doing it on social media, whether it's person to person, you know, I think that people have taken this year and have been super creative in getting back in touch with what their passion is, so that they can actually like do what they love, whether it's working out, whether it's talking to people, whether it is counseling people, whether it is whatever it is, selling water, selling jewelry, selling clothing, whatever it is. People have gotten so in touch, and it has been like seeing people do what they love, and the type of crazy like baby joy that they get from just being able to do what they love has been probably the greatest experience that I've had this year. Just like people geeked up on life because they get to, you know, make this jewelry, talk to these people, work on this project, do this thing. And regardless of resources or not, they make it happen because they want to. And it has been like,
that's how we have to look at it. So that 275 years has been a great 275 years.
It has still been a long year. I have gotten to know all 4 corners of this house very well. It's still been a long year, but I'm still like, I have video recording fatigue from not being able to sit with people in person. But I think that even though it has been a very long year, it has been a great one.
We're still in quarantine. Not to bring anything negative. So we just got to sit, chill, Get
Yeah.
to get to
Everybody
know each
go
other.
home for like 4 weeks. Everybody just sit at
That's
home.
all I'm saying. It's chill for a
Just
second.
sit at home. Get you some good music. Get in touch with your
You
mom.
know what? You know, don't get you good. You need to listen to Take Up Space Pod. You need to listen to Everything Culture. You need to listen to Black Horror Humor. You know, you got to listen to the whole team of podcast creators that we have. You need to listen to us. That's what you can get, and get to know us. That's what we talking about. That's
Listen,
how you grow. You
listen.
know, I'm
There's
just gonna keep it a buck with them. You know.
Yeah, I mean, listening to different people because there's so many podcasts that have come out and so many
Mm-hmm.
people who have different. I mean, the amount of stories that people are now willing to share, the amount of people who are actually going to therapy now. Praise
Man.
the Lord, because now I don't have to deal with your craziness. You can deal with it yourself.
Whew, man.
Amazing. Let me tell you,
These
amazing.
these true crime podcasts, let me tell you something, man. Lord, I'm like, I'm not to bring one of them on the show, man. I'm like, man, y'all, because some of these be kind of cool, and some of them y'all be going to details about shit. I'm like, damn, how do you read this? This is like consistent trauma. Like,
Yeah.
some of y'all be a little too excited about it. I'm like, man,
About the type of people who actually are doing these shows.
yeah, and that you know, no slight towards y'all, but it make me feel like when you have women that watch Snapped all day and shit, like murder me, like ways to how to murder your husband or how to poison your best friend and stuff like that. As just being an individual as myself, I'm going to think twice having you in my company. Just saying, you
why,
know,
why do you know how to bury a body so well? How do you know
yeah.
pepper? What's going on with that?
Why do you have Amazon where to find acid and stuff like that?
Why do you know where the marshes are? I don't understand. Why do you have I'm confused. But yeah,
Just believe it's people out here like that, man. They'll take you out.
no, true crime has their own convention. They have like yes, that genre podcast have their own convention. Yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, there's some people highlighting the bad and the negative side of what has happened over these last 4 years and all of what's happened while we've been in quarantine. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that in highlighting the good things, especially as we come toward the end of the year, like when we start to reflect as what's been going on, it's important to know like that you're still here. You're still able to affect change. And if nothing else, be glad that you took a shower today. That's
But
just like,
you got if you got majority of your 10 toes and your 10 fingers and your eyes and your heart and you can breathe and you can laugh, appreciate that. But I treat that like every day. See, you about to make me pull my clip from Color Purple again. I may be poor, I may be black, I even may be ugly, but I'm here. I'm here, and as long as you're here, you can make every day a great day.
yeah, you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. But there have been some things that have been going on this year. And so, I wanted to invite you to the show to kind of talk about, because you talk about on your show, the importance of learning to observe what happened versus absorbing what happened. So I would like to say thank you to everyone for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I am your host, Leah, and I am here with Mista D713 of Everythang Culture, back again for another co-host spot. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. We greatly appreciate it. Every time we link up, we make something great. So once again, thank you for allowing us to be here, allowing me to be here with Everything Culture on Tech with Space Pod.
Appreciate it. All the love, all the love.
And once again, I'm going to say here, thank you so much, Leah, for being one of the co-hosts for the premiere season 3 of Everything Culture. I have received so many comments and calls and texts just like saying you and Don killed it. So thank you again.
Yes, and make sure y'all check that out. Everything Culture just launched their 3rd season. By the time this comes out, they'll probably be on episode 3. So you have time to go back and catch up on all of them, maybe. But make sure that you definitely go back. This season, we actually got to Dawn from Concrete and Blossoms podcast and myself separately got to interview Drake and do his makings of you. So we get to know more about his story, about his background, and why he is the way he is. And it was such a dope interview, and it was such a great time. So make sure y'all definitely go and check that out wherever podcasts are found and on YouTube. So this year, as we said, has been a whirlwind of everything. Take the good with the bad, but there has been so much that I feel like is coming to a head where now things can't be hidden because so many people are now at home, and the only way that they can experience the world is through social media. They can't, go to work and be blinded by the busyness of being busy. And so how have you maintained mostly your sanity and this in this time period? Because I feel like it's not just been 2020. Things have been going crazy for a while. And I
Yeah.
think that just being home gave us the time and opportunity to like really see everything on a grand scale.
How do I maintain during 2020 and just through all type of life? I would say prayer. Leaning on my faith with God. First and foremost. Second, my relationships. With my wife, my aunts, my friends, siblings, cousins. Just building a community of people that I know I can call on and have conversations with. People that uplift me, as I uplift them. And I'm still busy. We got everything culture. We got black horror, humor. We got, trying to, this is a business right here coming out with shirts, marketing, editing, chatting, social media in total. I'm working, so I'm busy at work. I'm in the human resources field, and there's a lot, and everything we're talking about right here is what I have to make sure other people are okay with, while balancing my own as well.
Right.
Because I've have people that scared to come into the office, and they have the right. They're worried. They haven't been in the office since March. Okay.
True. Yeah.
Then you got some people that haven't been in office and they missed the office, and I'm like, well, you can come in, but I'm worried. And it's like sometimes you got to be very empathetic and understanding. But I'm like, I'm in the office twice a week, if that, and I still may have to come in and do something. But I'm masked up and sanitized. We have touchless thermostats and stuff like that nature. But it's balancing all these things. Like, I understand that these are tough times, and I think we need to have human interaction. But just trying to find ways to make it happen. Like something that I'm looking forward to setting up. I'm calling AMC because AMC is opening the theaters back up, but only for like 20 people in the theater.
Right.
So I'm gonna rent out the theater for my job. And this is not me. This is through the corporate card. Please believe that. Now, this is something I would do for my friends, though. If I had 20 friends here in Seattle, that's kind of sad to say. If I was in Houston, I would sure do this. Like for a certain amount, $200, I can rent out the whole theater for me and all my friends, and we can watch a movie together. Because that's something I do miss. I miss going. I miss the gym. Like in Texas, the gym is open. I'm seeing people post pictures online. And I don't know what, I think my legs are just gonna fall off. I haven't like really put any serious weight other than the weight that I'm carrying right now on my legs. But it's just one of them things that like that's another way how I relax and how I feel confident. I've said that on on my episode with you, is like working out is a big thing, like heavy weights, not just calisthenics and yoga and stuff like that. Heavy weight is how I like to relax. So that's been a little struggle. But other than that, I got wife keeping me busy. Once again, the podcast, studying. I know a lot of people going to school right now, continue their education. This is the best time to build yourself. And that's how I look at it. Don't look at it as a bad thing. Look at it as a time to grow.
You have so much time to read the books, to go to school, to talk to other people, to just really look at what it is that
learn how to cook.
Do. Right.
Become a bartender. Like man, learn how to knit, crochet. Do something that you never thought you had the time to do. You have the time now. If you lose your job, figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, you become resourceful real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, in what you said, that having that group, that core group of people that you can turn to is really important.
Right.
Some people like me sometimes have a hard time with developing that kind of community where we have.
Hey, baby.
I'm just no. Well, I'm virtually is fine because
I know you said it before, but go ahead. I'm messing with you.
virtually is a facade, right? I can say and do whatever it is, and then you all
Is
have
it
to
a
kind of like,
facade?
oh, okay, that's just her,
Is
right?
it a facade? Now that's a conversation we can have.
I'm saying that I could, if I wanted to, I could. There could be a facade, right? Because some people are trained to say, no, things are fine, and it's like, are they really fine? Well, you don't have time to listen to my problems, and it's like, I would literally rather listen to you as opposed to reading your obituary. So can you please
Yeah.
tell me what's going on? If you just need to vent, just let me know. If you need me to refer you to a therapist, let me know. But understand that it's important to me if I'm asking you just like when I called you the other day.
Yeah, and I take note of that.
And you were just like, no, I think I'm okay. Drake,
No, I was sleepy. Like
how are you doing?
I had 45 minutes worth of sleep that morning. That's what was wrong with me. I was about to crash. That was if you and once again we had to come. I was good, but I appreciate that. That was noted and it was appreciated. And I did the same thing. I called my homegirl last night, and she was a previous coworker, and I was like, I wasn't gonna call her because I know it was like 6 o'clock here, so it's probably 8 o'clock over there. But we talk late, whatever. But I was like, you know what? God is telling me, call her right now. Something may be happening. And I called her. She didn't answer, but she called back today, and we had a good long conversation today about life and how she's doing. And
Oh, good.
she always it's kind of been like one of those big brother, little sister type situations. She got a good head on her shoulders, but it never hurts to have some other advice and people to hear you out.
Right.
What's
Right.
going on. So,
I mean, I think that goes to show with the previous conversation we had about the intimacy that we need with other people to be successful in life. And I think that being able to vent to someone, knowing that the conversation is going no further than this phone call, no further than this table, no further than you and I think that we lose that a lot of times in trying to be like the next rising star, whomever that is. And so, but what I wanted to talk more about was, how do you move through these last, in moving from Texas to Seattle, to building your podcast, to building, a community where you are and maintaining the community where you are, and realizing all the stuff that is happening, all the cards that appear and are actually stacked against you in life, without absorbing all of that.
Well, know your foundation. If you know me, I've been on the show before. I don't know if I talk about my foundation a lot. I think it's so important to know where you stand. And even when you're fighting, you got to have a fighting stance. If you're fighting properly,
Right?
because if you get thrown off your stance, you fight. It's most likely you can lose. Knock you off your equilibrium. So I'm big on, when I'm going through this, I know my stance, know who I am, know what I'm here to do. Know what I'm capable of, and know who's here to protect me and throughout these times. So that's first and foremost. But man, like it's interesting that you said, like, man, moving up here. So everything culture been in effect since February 2019, and I moved to it, and it wasn't like I intended to move to Seattle. It was like something all of a sudden. The wife got a job offer from Amazon out the blue. She didn't apply for it, nothing. And it was like,
hey, I got you.
but we were both stressed out, and I previous positions, we felt like we hit our plateau where we were
Mm-hmm.
at that time, and it was like I was at the computer filling out jobs at my other job. I'm like, then she hit me up that she's like, man, you see this? She like, do you think it's real? And I'm like, it look real, like just. But they want us to move to Seattle. I'm like, hey, just check it out. Let's see what they talking about. I'm talking about this was in June. We got the offer like the first week in July, and they want us to move within a week in July. We ended up moving at August. Sold our house that we built. The whole nine. I'm talking about uprooted everything. No, it was like a complete shock, and had to tell my co-host at the time, like, hey y'all, I'm moving to Seattle, I'm gone it, and have to see, their emotions. My friends moved to Seattle, not Seattle, my friends moved to Houston, I believe, to be closer to me. I didn't think that at first, but when they told me, like, hey, we came down here to be with y'all, man, we had all my friends that I was close to, like, when I can say all, but quite a few of them, we were in Houston, like people that I was close to, and like we live in like no more 10 minutes to like 40 minutes away, but still, this is like crazy, we talk every day, we kick it, we have a podcast together, then me gone,
Yeah.
but I still got my foundation, my wife, with me.
Yeah.
So, but coming here, it was different. I know at the time I knew one person, a family friend, and that's it. I met some people that was communicated through me through another friend, and we met once. We keep in touch now. I was just saying we need to hang out again, but it was like looking for a job. It was different because I was in community outreach and HR, and mediation. I was very involved in the community in Houston. And you're in a new community now.
Yeah.
I wasn't introduced to this community, I don't know much. So I had to start from scratch, and I've been still scratching. So I've met quite a few people, but then, I've gotten out, I've spoken to, I started working. And when I started working, I'm like, boom, you're going to meet so many more people. You can start hanging out. I used to go to happy hour at least once or twice a week at my previous job. I'm like essential social butterfly,
Right.
And a week after I started, quarantine happened. Like, so it was like everything got shut down. All the fun stuff, like, in Seattle, they're known as a Great Depression, and in the fall seasons, the season we're going into right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't say I was down. I wouldn't say I was complete depressed. I hit him, but it was some time like, man, I really do miss home.
Yep.
It was like, dang, because the people in here, and I would say they weren't the friendliest people. They're hurt, and I thought I was crazy. A lot of times I would think I was crazy. Maybe I'm tripping. Then when I talk to other people that's not from Seattle, or they're like, man, people are different up here, right? And I'm like, what kind of different are you talking about? I'm like, man, they don't speak. I'm like, I know.
No, they don't.
And it's like they had a Seattle freeze. People stand other people up, and I hate being stood up. It's like,
yeah.
I can't say that no longer. I've met some people here over the year I've been here, year and a month or so, year and 2 months. But 3, damn. But all in all, I met some good people here, like real good people. I made created some relationships that I think I would like to hold on to. And like just yesterday, I stayed late with one of my coworkers. He's actually a guest on our show. That's the episode 2 of Everything Culture of season 3. He pass out food after work to people in the communities that goes without. Pull up to an apartment complex with a truck full of food to give out. And he was tired. He was like, man, I think it's gonna be my last couple weeks. I'm tired. It wear me out. And I'm like, hey, send me the address. I'm gonna come and help you. So it was like, that's how I build relationships. It's like we cut for each other.
Right.
So same thing with other community involvements. I'm trying to get more in tune with the area. And I volunteer with CASA, the job I used to work for. I used to be the recruiter for. And I enjoy that as well. But since we're quarantined, I haven't met any of the judges. We haven't even face to face. And it's rare to see a black person out here that volunteer, young black male that volunteer. Let's say that. Like when I talk in some of these virtual meetings, I know someone think I'm hacked in, but I'm glad my volunteer mentor, or whatever they supervisor, is like, oh, it's Brandon. She, like, what's up? And Erica's there, like, I'm telling you, it's a Zoom meeting with like 30 to 40 white men and women, one older black woman in like in her 60s, and me, black male. And they're talking about black men in society. And I'm like, oh, y'all having this conversation? Guess who's here? Like, what are we talking about? It's so interesting because not only it's a whole different culture up here, and
Right.
that's what I enjoy. But it's like really getting in tune with things. Like I saw my first Trump rally up here last weekend, and there are Vietnamese people. Like, and I talked to some of them like, how are you out here in your own community supporting Trump that he wouldn't support your community? It was very interesting. I wasn't part of it. That goes back to not observe. I can observe it. I drove by it. I didn't even pull my camera out and record. I could have put it on Instagram, anything like that. I've never been that type of guy. But even though I could have got some views from it, but that ain't me. I can see it. I see what's happening. I can learn it, but I don't even need to act upon it. Right. So that's what I feel like. Same thing with the whole behaviors of some people that, okay, well, people may stand each other up and maybe flaky and stuff. I can see it. I can understand why you do it to a sense. I'm not going to do it because that's not me. That's not one of my character traits, Right. So same thing with just laying down, giving up. Like even the days when I was upset, I may have been hurt, just like down. I still, first thing, it got to the point where I apply for like 5 jobs, brush my teeth, get dressed, wash my face, act like you still got to cook. Oh, I was cooking my butt off. Like people would get so upset. Well, I don't know, like have a little like, why are you cooking all day, motherfucker? I'm not working. Would you like? What you want me to do? What? I don't have a yard. I clean up. I fold clothes. My wife got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whatever you want. I pick my wife up. I drop her off every day at work. I pick her up too. Like I know how to transition to a position necessary. Right. Like, but then when it start working, hey, we made plans to go forward from there. It's just that's how people should operate, and how to modify your day-to-day experiences to make things better. But that's me. So I'm still modifying. I'm still learning throughout this process.
And I think that a majority of what you said really lies in your identity. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it, I think that people are realizing is they don't have a lot of stuff to cover up who they are anymore. Because, I mean, since we're in quarantine, you can only lie to yourself so much.
Man, or the other people around you too.
Right. About who you are, about what you want, how you want to move forward. If you are, a planner, if you just want to be home, and they're learning that, it's okay to just check out. There was an instance, we were on one of your happy hours, and one young lady made a comment about wanting to keep pushing and fight, politically, economically, socially, all these things, and just like keep pushing, keep the foot on the gas, keep going. But I think that particular episode, we were talking about racial fatigue and
racial battle fatigue,
and constantly explaining the Black struggle, constantly explaining, why I deserve a seat at the table. Why do you keep moving the table? Why are we changing the game? Why are we doing, all these things? And there's a point where we have to understand that we have, as people, a capacity for different things. We're not unlimited in much.
Not at all.
So for people to say that you have to observe, with every murder that happened, with every injustice observed, with every every 911 phone call made, in falsehood, right? Every video that's shown, we see these things, but we have to understand that there's a capacity that we're reaching like critical mass.
Yep. See, and when you talk about and within that aspect, your foundation once again is important.
Right.
But once again, when you're observing many of these things, these are things that's once again actually happening,
Right. Right.
and these are things that relate to us. Okay. And if we're talking about, the march, it should relate to everyone. And if you're a person that have empathy towards others, especially people that like, I don't want to say you don't even got to look like me, but man, it's hard. So when you go that the observing for an emotional toll, sometimes you got to cut it off.
Yeah.
Like it is right now as we're speaking, let's just say we're in November. Okay. Well, happy Halloween. But it looks like, like I still haven't watched George Floyd. I haven't watched any videos after Ahmaud Arbery.
I can't.
I haven't watched any, and I used to be the one that watched that stuff. I used to be the one to tell other people you gotta watch that stuff. If you didn't watch it, you don't really understand.
Really?
I used to be there. You go back to season 1. I used to say these things like you should watch it. I'm aware once again, but I am aware of them.
Wow.
Because that was my mindset. I was kind of to that point that I ain't gonna say that because telling who's listening, but I was getting to that point like, yes, something's needed to be done and something need to be done now. People are not action. Like I'm to the point, and I'm still to that.
I'm about the action part. Like I agree, but
but you got to be intelligent. It was gonna get something beat.
It was just like I think that seeing Ahmaud Arbery, because I saw Eric Garner. I saw
Eric Garner. I saw, but Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
My God, I'm tearing up now thinking about
it. It's just like I can't, because what we and this is why I say what's in us, what has been put in us, whether it was put there, by God, by our parents, by our experiences, with our emotions, anything like that, is going to come out. And so that stuff is going to keep coming up to the top. And I don't want to live a life I don't want to live a life where I am constantly running from hurt.
Right.
So I have to learn to, because I'll like, seeing is so painful to see. There was a video that was just posted a few days ago about the girl whose teeth broke through her bottom lip because the officer slammed her on. She was in handcuffs in the police station.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't even heard of that one.
Slammed her to the ground because she pulled away from him when he was turning her head this way. She pulled away like she didn't want to be touched. And I just and for all the people who have seen it, know that I have not seen I have not read the entire story because I couldn't. But just as quick as she was going up to take her mugshot in her handcuffs, he went up, she's pulled away from him. He took her down as if she was a sumo wrestler. He was bigger than her. And this girl was smaller than him significantly. And he threw her down like a rag doll. You could see the blood on the floor. And then he stood there holding her arm bent back and almost like he was about to break it off, and then waited for like two officers to like mosey on over there and tend to her. And I'm just like, this is why we march. This is why we have to keep talking about it. This is why we have to keep this conversation going up. And these people who are saying, well, that happened like back. And it's like, look, if you know people who have grandparents, their grandparents were the ones who were just like when Strahan, what's his name? Michael Strahan had the interview with the guy, with the officer who was shot by Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. And he said, no, we don't racial profile, we criminal profile. Well, if you don't understand why we have this type of relationship with the police, well, what does a criminal look like? Well, they don't in the eyes when we pull up. Why do you think
See, but that's what we talk about with the racial battle fatigue.
Uh,
That's what we get on right there. Like
but
I
this is
was,
why you have to learn what your capacity is.
I know, and that's what like even with when
Observe
I'm on
versus
trust,
absorb.
and that's what. But the reason this is why I absorb that when I watch Ahmad, I absorbed all that. I tell people I talk about it on the show. I talked about it on the show. I felt that was me. I legit thought it felt like it happened to me, because it could happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about it absolutely can't. I think about times where I've been racially profiled, and I'm thinking about man being in East Texas, running around, walking around. Tell a story. One of my buddies when he was on the show, how we had to go and get a gun to walk to the store because we're walking to the store and some white guys in a pickup trucks call us niggers. Like my last week in Tyler, Texas, that happened. And it was like me at the age of 19. I'm like, can't even walk to the damn store without having a gun on you.
Yeah.
And now it is 11 years later. Yeah, 11 years later. And it's like same stuff. I was having a professional conversation and listening to a black man, I had to ask some questions. We do DEI work, diversity, equity, inclusion at my job. Not only I do this as a hobby, as a side bit, I do this as my career wise as well. But I'm like, man, black man from the Midwest. I asked him, what is his thoughts on, or experiences when he had racism, if he saw racism what happened, and not only racism, but people being treated unfairly by, their religion, their culture, their traditions, their ethnicity, or lifestyle choices. What did you do? He like, well, I never, I know people that believe it, but I never seen racism. It never happened to me, and this man like 38 years old. I'm like, and it's me, a Latin man and a Caucasian man. And I'm like, I'm one of in every bone of my body. I'm like, you are fucking lying. Excuse my language, but I'm like, and it upset me, but I'm being professional. I'm like, excuse me. And he went towards the police aspect. I'm like,
but some people, granted culture, some people can explain it away that they were just doing their job.
that's what it was like. But I'm like, but do you know racism is much more than just police brutality?
Oh, and I think
You
that
know that you never had a teacher. You never had nothing happened in a store or a business. Nothing ever happened when you were playing a video game online. Let me log into Call of Duty right now and see how many times I'm called a nigger on there by some children. Okay,
right.
or from adults to kids. Okay, come on, fam, stop that. Because now you want to be oblivious to it. That's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You're trying to assimilate. I don't know if it's to get the job or whatever, but obviously not, because he said some other stuff that was ignorant. But I'm like, wow, it make you step back. And I know people like that personally, man. I'm like, I've had people tell me that police brutality started in the 80s, 1980s. You have to understand that, Brandon. Help me understand. Talk to me. Tell me your facts, because I will bring up I will give you the full history.
I'm sorry.
And I know it's like
1980s.
1980s.
Like
Because of crack.
1980s.
Like not when we were 19.
Like,
I was born. I was like the year I was born. It started like during the decade I was born.
Whatever, however long it was. I'm sorry. What?
And I'm like, are you? Once again, that's when it comes like, are you gaslight? Are you trying to play? I used to say this was my previous job all the time. It kills me when you work with people, especially in the management level. And I'm like, either you're stupid or you think that I'm stupid. Which one is it? Because it may be both. But at the end of the day,
where are you getting your information? Like that's why even with the guy who got on live who didn't want to show his face, I forgot the guy's name. Something
Space City. Kid.
Oh, Space City Kid.
Oh yeah. Do you follow him on Instagram?
I do not, because I do not wish to be part of foolishness. We're not playing those games.
But it's serious. It's people out there like that though.
Right, but this guy,
He's a grown man. He's older than us.
he talks like he's inexperienced, so that's why I just defer to child. Okay, so if that's just me,
Hey, this your show.
Okay, he's still working on me. He's not through with me yet. So this person gets on and he talks about
this is on the Sunday Live.
This is on the Sunday Live. We switched over from Facebook to YouTube, and he gets on to say that and mind you, Drake and I both have been in a position where we don't mind having a conversation with anybody. We could be on complete opposite sides of the spectrum.
We can observe.
Let's have a conversation about it. I just want to understand where you're coming from. Help me to understand. That is what I want to do at the end of the day.
Talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
You're not trying to convince me of anything. I just want to understand how your brain got to this point. That's what I want to know.
The whole point of everything culture. That's the whole point. What we do.
I want to know.
I want to know how you get there.
Let me just understand. So this guy comes on to the live, and I believe, is the link still up?
What were we talking about?
Or did you make it private?
It may be up. It depends. I think we were talking about some safe stuff that night, so it's still up. I think it's still up.
Okay. So we kind of talked about some, because this was like one of those. We were
talking about how we didn't favor the Democratic Party so much. We're like trying to go from a 2-party system. I know I was talking about how I'm not a big fan.
We're trying to figure out an alternative to the 2-party system.
Right.
And during that conversation, there was a gentleman by the name of Space City Kid who comes on in the comments and says that we would be worse off with Biden and Harris. We need to go with Trump. And I wanted to understand.
He didn't say that yet. He didn't say he should go with Trump. Yeah, I don't think he said Trump yet.
That's why in the comments, that's why he came on, was because I wanted to get an understanding. I was like, he said something to the effect of, we'll be worse off with Biden Harris.
He did say that. He did say that.
And I said, so do you think which candidate should we go with? And he said Trump. And I said, no. I said, do you think so? You're saying that we should go with Trump? His answer was yes. And I was like, yes to Trump. And he said,
when you say he popped in, it was like, y'all talking shit about Biden.
He came on and we chatted.
Didn't show his face.
And which some people like the anonymity of being online and all that kind of stuff. But let me just understand where you're coming from.
Yes. And
during this conversation, my blood pressure is not going to go up. I know it's not.
Right now?
No.
Can I fast forward? This is the first time Leah was like, I got to get off.
I did. And you know why I had to get off was because I had a workout competition that I had to do. Otherwise, I would have probably stayed on. But there were 2 comments that he made where I was just like, I don't have the time, the patience, or the eloquence at this point in the night to be able to explain to you the many ways that you are incorrect on the facts of the matter. And it's not about me convincing him to vote for Biden or to, continue to support Trump, but the facts that he was bringing in were just random sound bites. So he said under Trump,
what Trump is all about.
His main argument was that Trump has been the best president for Black people. I said, what are you basing this on? His comments were that we have more jobs. I said, what? So Drake asked a good question, which was going to be my next question.
Your memory is excellent. Go ahead.
And my question was more so, well, what is the unemployment rate versus Obama and Trump administrations, right? Mm-hmm. And his response to both of those questions, well, we just have access to more jobs. It's not just we have access. And again, Drake asked him, were these low-paying jobs? Because we've always had access to low-paying jobs, or are we going to get paid matching what our counterparts make? And this person continues to go down this rabbit hole of nonsense, right?
That's usually how it goes.
Where he tries to explain, and this was his whole thing. And I'm gonna wrap this story up really quick.
I'm gonna continue with it. Go ahead though.
This is his whole thing. Under the Trump administration, this man is saying that Trump should continue to be the president because his life has been so great. Now, he did say that he was he Jamaican?
You on there for that?
No,
yeah, you're correct. Well, yeah, well, that's what I was gonna get on too.
He's Jamaican, right? I don't know if I think he's second gen or he's 1.5 or second gen.
Okay. His father's full Jamaican.
Okay, and this asked me how I know. Asked me how I knew exactly where he was coming from. Anyways, he says, my life has been great under the Trump administration. Not only have my wife and I gotten married, had a kid, and was able to pay for it, we also bought a home. I've been promoted 3 different times in my job, and I'm now working at such and such, such and such. Okay. That has nothing to do with who the president is, let alone, you and your wife making good financial decisions to be able to get, because I think he said his other thing was he was able to get out of debt. No. He wasn't able to get out of debt.
Mm-hmm.
Able to he was able to get a home and pay for his child's birth. Okay.
Can I go? Let me know when I can go.
I'll let you go before I wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay. So everything Leah's saying is correct. Okay. I don't know, like the order of it all, because I thought I asked him about the whole Jamaican thing and she jumped off because we do the makings of you.
I was making very broad assumptions, and I happen to be correct.
You was absolutely correct. Because you are absolutely correct. Because he said some other things. That's when I you wasn't on when I started to kind of snap. You wasn't on for that. Because even G-Jack got on him, and he never gets.
Now, mind you, if y'all have never seen the live, G-Jack and I typically are on opposite sides of the coin, and we typically go at it in all love. Because I got love for G-Jack, G-Jack got love for me, and we always argue opposite sides of the coin for whatever reason.
G-Jack jumped on because he saw what he was saying, and that was like he saw what he said. What? Because my thing is, I let him in the chat because it was a good conversation. I'm all for a difference in opinion, but you need to have a foundation for your opinion. His foundation was not as sturdy as ours at all. Okay, it was very flimsy. All right, and that's why I said when you're fighting someone and you're on a week, you don't have a good fighting stance foundation, you easily go get knocked out. Now, some people will fall down and still kick on their back, and I hate them type of people, and that's why I didn't feel like stomping them out. But that's what it was to the point, like, bruh, you say you gotta, because he got like maybe a promotion, or he got 1 or 2 promotions, but he got the job under Trump. He
moved up 3 times. I think he said during the
we got to look at it again. It was, but I'm like, dude, I graduated under Trump. I mean, I graduated under Barack. I got my first job under Barack. I got my second job under Barack. Do I give all credit to Barack about that? No. And this ain't so. You have that much faith in that man. That's how much faith he got. He went out. He got you. Gave you a recommendation for this. Get out of here.
Right. He was working
at the realistic. So I'm like, what else he done for black people? It was a job, because jobs is not like we're past jobs. What else?
No, because it wasn't that he couldn't prove jobs. Because
that's what I'm saying. You can't prove that. Like, what's the next one?
Let's go to the labor. Let's go to the Bureau of Labor. Let's go to the, what is it called? The Bureau of Labor Statistics. And I was like, looking at the percentages. We have less jobs now. So what are you talking about? Show me your story. Let me know.
I got on about the whole COVID, how he's very mishandled this, and it came back and he said, well, Biden's a racist. And I'm like, you don't feel Trump is a racist? He was like, no, what have Trump said?
Trump never said anything racist.
Man, I pulled up videos, clips. I like, this is not anything I'm saying.
I have to go. And
and that's exactly what she did. I gotta. So you say you got to do your work. No, I'm telling you, you made exit stage left. You were out. This
man said Trump has never done or said anything racist, and I said, okay, and because then I was like, okay, We could talk. I said we don't even have to go as far back as Charlottesville. We can go as far back as last month. And his comment in Charlottesville, he said that white supremacists are bad. I said, show me where he said that. Show me, because even in this last debate, when he had to be told to condemn white supremacy, and he still didn't do it.
He game when I because he knew I wasn't even trying to pigeonhole him about nothing, but he brought himself to this.
Yes,
he brought all this up.
Yep.
And I'm like, because once again, I was speaking freely. My thing, if I call Biden racist, I'm gonna call Trump racist too. Because that's my whole thing is I'm tired of picking the lesser evil. That's all I always been saying. Like I want somebody that's someone I want to have that feeling. I don't know who to vote for because they're both so good. That's the feeling I want. Okay.
I just want to vote for someone and not against someone.
That's the point. Exactly.
I just want to be like, oh snap, yeah, I get to go vote for this person, not I gotta vote to get this person out of office.
And that's the point. And the thing is, what he try to bring is he try to skew our view, And I'm like, you made things so much worse, and you're part of that problem. Mm-hmm. And I still intend to have him on the show too in the future, because when I start asking some of the questions I asked him to make of you, this would led me to ask the question. I said, so when he said talking about shithole countries, and he made a comment about Mexicans being rapists and criminals and send them back, he like, well, that's not racist towards black people, so it's not, I don't see the issue. So, sir, that was when I kind of like, how ignorant it is, player, man. That if somebody did, so okay, if he goes and rape a white woman, but he don't rape a black woman, it doesn't make him rapist. That's what you're saying. He like, no, see, that's the mindset. I said, so man, where your people from? Like, so tell me a little bit about you. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that was when people had that type of mindset, I really want to know where they should come. Oh yeah, my dad was Jamaican. I'm like, and I said, I hear Jamaicans don't like African Americans too much. Do that? He like, nah. He like, yeah, black people.
Because he was saying,
and that's why I always say I don't always go under. And that,
you don't grow up here. You don't understand.
And that's why, people don't like it. But that's why I did on the makings of Mista D713. You can call it whatever, but I can't just consider myself just black. I am descendants of African American, African people from the African the diaspora mm-hmm. that was American slaves mm-hmm. here on the United States continent. Mm-hmm. That's what I am. Okay, because we are treated differently, and we have a different,
very much so.
And it, like Jamaican, anything you from the whole diaspora, a lot of people put us at the damn near bottom. They treat us differently because they believe we should be making it. Even though once again we talked, I don't know if it was at the beginning of the show or when we were talking about before the show. We talked that this system was not made for us to succeed. To be great, to be awesome. It was not. It was made for us to fail. All right. And we're still striving and doing great and making a beautiful job of it. And still getting stabbed and still getting slammed on the ground, still getting shot, trying to, even when we try to kiss these police officers' ass and believe in Blue Lives Matter and try to shake their head.
No, ma'am. I'm trying. Yeah. And still, they shouldn't listen. They shouldn't have listened. They should have been quiet. They should have. No matter what.
And then have someone that tell us and try to, this is the way we should. This man that's obviously a racist. He's just not racist towards me because I'm black, but I still like my people grew up where we're not black because we feel like we're better because we're Jamaican. We have some. Oh, okay, cool. That's why I like you, and that's what I say. I have to get to know where that mindset comes from.
But that's where that conversation is an example of my entire year. I can observe people very different and not thinking the same way as me, but I do not have to absorb that. I do not have to absorb the negativity or the falsehoods that are made, because there are some things that people say to purposely gaslight other people, right? Yeah. But there are some things that people do and say that they think is a genuine thing. Like when one of the people who I'm still friends with to this day, she's white. She told me in 2014 There was no such like racism is so old, it's not a thing anymore, right? And I was like, ma'am, you're a white woman in Texas. You know people who are family members of the KKK. So tell me racism isn't real.
Actively part of the KKK.
Exactly. And now it's like, you know, I don't grandstand. I understand that my mental capacity has a certain amount. Just like we have a certain time, we only have a little bit of time in a day. I mean, quarantine has shown us that a day is a very long time if you're awake for the whole thing. A day is 24 hours is a very long time when you're awake for the whole thing. So, what I've understood, since we only have so much time in the day, I'm not going to fill up my day with all the negativity, with all of the shenanigans, with all of the listen. I am going to implement change where I can. And wherever I cannot implement change, wherever people are not moving in the same direction that I'm going in, or they're not where I want to be, that's why I consistently check my circle and see the people who are around me. If you're not where I want to be in 5 years, don't get mad if I have to like be like, it's been real, it's been good, but you're not where I want to go. And so you're not the type of person who I would want to keep around me, because keeping you around me could set me back. So
you cutting folks off like that, Leah?
I don't really cut them off. We just kind of like drift apart.
Absolutely. And it happens like that. And it's all love. And I still keep in touch with people, but man, I talk about this quite a bit. I remember when I started working in high school, when I first got my first legit taxable job. Okay.
I think it was Champs in Starbucks.
Mine was 2 weeks after I applied the day I turned 16, and I got the job within the next 2 weeks. It was at Eckert's Pharmacy. All right. And I used to hang with some guys, you know. I used to hang with, you know, I had friends. I had I had circles, you know, it's not one circle. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one was like, you know, they were down around the corner from me. You know, we used to kick it on the porch, you know, we're not allowed to go inside, you know, we were cool. We never had any issues, nothing like that. Everything was straight. But when I started working, when I started to make myself busy, when I had to focus on school and, you know, making this money and getting rest and working out and all that's what I'm doing, I didn't have time I would try to kick it with them, but their way of kicking it was not too inducive for me, you know, for my growth. I'm studying for the the SATs and the ACT and all that, and they are here literally kicking in doors now, you know, like and I would drive by them and I always honk and acknowledge them, like, "What's up, man?" You know, whatever, and they still sitting on that porch. And I know, like, when I was in junior college, they still sitting on that porch, sitting on that porch, and I'm like, I caught up. One of them is now no longer here. And the other two no longer here because they're in prison now. You know, it's crazy how to see that process. And we never had any bad words with each other. We never had any beef with each other. It's like literally like our lives just completely went separate ways. You know?
Yeah.
And so I understand it. So when I talk to some folks and what we got going on right now, make sure you know your emotional bank account.
Yeah.
We all have one.
Yes.
I say it all the time. You got to find people. Okay, because I have my background in social work. I did my career in social work. You know, that's how I started out. Okay, and that's why I said when you talking about dealing with people drama and hearing all this crazy stuff, imagine working for CPS and that's your job.
That's like, not my issue though. So I'm not.
I know. That's what I'm just telling you to imagine. That's why I'm like
I choose where I want to be, but all that other stuff, like y'all want to bicker and fight on social media.
No, that stuff I don't. That stuff I don't. That stuff when I see people going back and forth, the whole men versus women, the whole who's to submit to who, and I ain't gonna do who should pay the bill. Who, like, who should pay 200, how much you should spend on a date. The same recycled conversations y'all have every 3-4 months.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I completely,
because that's
I'll
the
go to some cartoons or something. I ain't about to stress me on that dumb stuff.
relationship. They think that men and or women are trash, and then they find somebody else who tickles their fancy, and then they start like kicking it with them. Oh, this could be the one. And then a few weeks later, you find out you wasn't the only one. So
Oh,
now you back to
child
all
support.
people are
The
trash. And it's like, come on now.
The child support conversation. I'm trying to have the child support, but I'm like, find somebody that go love you. Find somebody that go love the offspring that comes from you two.
Yeah.
Like fine. That's what I'm like. But you know, y'all don't want that. Some people don't know how to love their damn self. But I'm just talking.
Therapy and Jesus. I'm telling y'all, that's probably gonna be the tag for Take a Space podcast, because therapy and Jesus is literally what saves people's lives.
Or to Baylor, edibles and Jesus. So
Edibles
you know,
and Jesus.
maybe those would be the three on the shirt.
Yeah,
You know,
like you really, a lot of people don't, because we as human beings, Drake, Mr. D713 from Everythang Culture. I appreciate you so much for coming through. Please tell people where they can find you.
You can find, hold on, let me try to get it. You can find us here. I'm bad at doing this. Yeah, you can find us here at Everythang Culture. You can find us anywhere you can listen to a podcast. We'll love for you to subscribe to us on YouTube. You can find it. Oh, look at that. Everythang Culture all around. But we're on YouTube. We're on Instagram at EveryTHG Culture. You can go to our website at everythangculture.com, and just anywhere you type in Everythang Culture in Google, you can find us there. But we appreciate being here, Leah. You know, shout out again to Take Up Space. You know, we are a big fan of Champions of Discourse as well. I know you keep saying I say Discord, but I say Discourse every time. We look forward to seeing you every Sunday with our Sunday happy hours as well. The great conversations, and we love joining. Is everything on Thursday now? Has it always been Thursday?
It's always been on Thursday.
Why do I think it was on Wednesdays?
I don't know.
But I'm there. You know, I'm there. I'll be in the car most of the time, but driving, trying to pay attention and, you know, do a lot of other stuff. But I enjoy every bit of it. And shout out to the Johnson clan. You know, y'all are some awesome people. Keep being awesome. But thank you again. I really do enjoy our conversations.
Well, thank you so much. Make sure that you all subscribe to Take a Space podcast on all social media. Take a Space Pod. Let's Take a Space POD on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also make sure that you tune in on Tuesday. Every Tuesday we drop a new episode, and on Thursdays we go live on Facebook and YouTube. So join the conversation this Thursday, and we'd love to see you there. Also, make sure that you check out our YouTube. We're almost done with our season of Champions of Discourse Presents Debate This. We have about 11 rounds out now, and we're going to start doing some analysis on the arguments that have been made. So we would love to get your feedback and your opinions on who you think won, what arguments could have been made better. And we just thank you for your support. You have a great one.
Peace.